We're here in Buenos Aires shortly after the Youth Olympic Games, and I'm here with Bboy Moy of Houston, Texas, who was one of the judges. Can you give me a little bit of your feelings towards the whole experience and a little bit about what you experienced in terms of from the judging perspective?
You know, man, honestly, this is just an incredible moment in history, and just to be a part of that is an honor, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity. But, you know, the entire event was perfect. I mean, we were a little hesitant at first as a community about like how it's going to look or how is it going to be portrayed, or are they going to take over? But I mean, if you watch the footage, it's a cipher setting. You got the right music playing. You got the right judges. I even think the system was the right system for this. I mean, it was very transparent in terms of what the people wanted to see, in terms of what we're judging on. You know, in terms of like moving forward, there's always things we can fix. But that's with evolution in itself. As progression continues with the dance, things are always going to need a little change, you know. But overall, it was an amazing experience. Just honored to be around such a great group of people that care and want to protect the dance and the culture. But this is definitely a positive step moving forward.
Okay. To touch a little bit on that, because, you know, when this all transpired a little bit over almost 2 years ago, when it first came to our community, like you said, the community wasn't receptive to it because of the people that were behind it. They're not from our community. So now working with them, with the World Dance Sport Federation and the IOC, can you give us a little bit about what your experience has been like working with them?
Yeah, man, the experience with the IOC and WDSF has been nothing but great. I mean, they've been very respectful towards what we want to bring and what we offer to, you know, to their community. So it's been nothing but great feedback from them. A lot of respective, you know, conversations and discussions about the positive change moving forward. But it's all been good. I mean, I don't really have nothing bad to say, you know, other than that we make sure as ambassadors, opinion leaders of the community, that, you know, we stay right on track with this change and make sure that, again, that we protect it and do our best to make sure that it's moving forward in the right direction.
So now, as a community, and I'm referring to the breaking community, in your opinion, where do we go from here?
You know, I just think it's important for everyone to have an understanding that, you know, breaking is always evolving. It's always going to change, that there's a progression with events and where the dance is going. And so I think it's important for the community to stand behind it, because it's a great opportunity for, you know, artists or athletes, whatever you want to call us, you know, to create a sustainable living and have a sustainable passion that will drive sponsorships, that will drive a better living for us, you know. So I think it's important that everyone stands behind it, because, you know, although this is a very underground street dance, at the same time, it's 2018. It's not 1975 anymore. Things are changing, but it's important to make sure that all these people that did start it, the pioneers, are part of this committee or the influence behind where this change is going, because, you know, the foundation is everything. And to make sure that that stays intact is really, really important. But at the same time, you know, the years are growing, the dance is growing, the talent is growing, the competitions are growing, the opportunities are growing. So if we stand behind that, more and more youth are going to have a better life and a better career within the dance.
From what you experienced here over the course of these last couple of days, how do you feel personally as far as where you came from in terms of when you started? You started when you were relatively young until where you are now, and now seeing these youth that are almost pretty much at the age that you were at yeah. when you started. Like, what were you feeling when you saw that?
You know, again, it's just an incredible moment in history. You know, when we first started, I started in '95, so I've been breaking 23 years, and when we first started, it was all for the love of the dance, right? Or to get girls. Yeah. But you know, it's a different time. And at that time, we didn't have these competitions. We didn't have sponsorships. They just didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So you saw a lot more people, you know, genuinely, you know, pouring out their passion. But it's because they didn't know any better. They didn't have options. Mm-hmm. You know, today we have options. Mm-hmm. So there's a different level of understanding for that. But it is different. I mean, it's a different time. And, you know, I can debate and argue with people and go back and be like, well, I wish it was the 90s again, because it was all about passion. It was all about art. Well, a lot of us struggled in the 90s. We couldn't even pay to get into an event. But now, you know, people have the opportunity to win 10 grand, 20 grand, sponsorships, and much, much more. And so it's just a great thing. Again, it's a different time, but a great opportunity for youth. And to see myself today in terms of where I was back then, I'm just happy to be alive. I'm just happy to still do it and to contribute in every way, shape, or form. Because it's easy to be mad and be like, wow, I may not ever be able to win a gold medal, but at the same time, I can still contribute my thoughts, my energy, and my leadership. And that's all I care about.
How do you feel in terms of that particular terminology when related to breaking, as far as it being a sport in comparison to a culture?
You know, to me, breaking is always a dance. It's always an art form. That's never going to change. What people call it is what people call it. At the end of the day, we're still stuck with people using the word breakdance, and that's not even an official term. But we know what we represent. We know who we are in hip-hop when we step foot on any platform. So again, it's important for us, the ambassadors, the talent, the artists, the athletes, to go out there and make sure that we represent it to the fullest. And so breaking will always remain breaking, whether you want to call it a sport, a dance, an art form. It's always going to remain breaking. And for me, that's just my goal. My goal is to be a living example and a positive example for the dance and for the culture and the community. What people call it, it is what it is. Call it what you want. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, breaking will always be breaking, and it will always be hip-hop, and we're the representation of hip-hop.
Being of Latino descent, you're also Mexican. What symbolism does it have for you being here in a country that speaks Spanish and that is Latin American? Yeah,
man. I mean, it's an awesome feeling, you know, because, you know, again, you know, a lot of us Latinos, we come from a very struggling place where it's difficult to get our hands on things or even pay for things. And I don't want to sound like we're all poor, but that's where I come from. And to come to a community and seeing the community that doesn't have a lot, you know, and just being able to communicate with them because I speak Spanish, it meant a lot to me. I don't speak the language perfect, but I was able to communicate and distribute what I know through my art, through my talent, through the language. But at the same time, it's just an awesome feeling to be able to connect with the Latin American community in terms of what's happening. And to be here in Buenos Aires for the very first time myself in this country at the same time that breaking makes its first appearance on the Olympic platform is just amazing. And I hope that it's a step moving forward and a boost of motivation and inspiration for the Latin American community that anything is possible.
I was there at your workshop. You gave a very heartfelt, talk to the people that were there before your class even started. I mean, in my personal opinion, that's the biggest workshop I've ever seen. There was literally almost close to 300 people there. What is that you were feeling in that moment? Like, can you tell us a little bit about what that felt like to you?
You know, the crazy feeling about workshops is you always kind of go in with a plan. But I like to feel the energy. And once I stepped in that room, it shifted my energy. And I think that for me, it was more important to talk to them about inspiration, motivation, and where just your mentality can take you somewhere, not just the talent. Because there could be so many talented people in the world with a bad mentality, and the mentality will crash you down. It will bring you down. And so it was an amazing feeling to be just well accepted with their community, but at the same time, I just wanted to be real with them and talk to them, say, hey, if this could happen for me, it could happen for you. Don't look at me any different than you. We're the same person. We're the same people. We're the same abilities with the same capacity to create and do whatever we want to do. So all it takes is for you to do it. And for me, that was the most important part of my workshop. I know they wanted to learn how to train and learn some moves, but it's the mentality behind anything that will get you to wherever you want to be. And so it was important for me to share that.
All right. Now, in terms of people that are watching this, because I'm expecting there to be a surge of interest in breaking, what advice would you give to someone that's interested in picking this up and wanting to learn breaking?
You know, my advice to everybody out there is just take it slow. You know, there's a ton of resources now, a ton of content that you can watch, study every single day. but it's not a race. You know, a lot of people get into breaking trying to be better than one another. And the best thing I can tell you is just become a better you. Because when you start to focus on becoming better than somebody else, you're always going to play catch up and you're never going to catch up.
Well, thank you, Moy, for this interview. It's been we keep saying the word surreal experience being out here and being a part of this. Any last message specifically to the breaking world? Where do we go from here? What last words do you want to leave to the breaking world?
Yeah, man, just, you know, have a level of understanding that breaking is always going to change and there's always progression and evolution. And without that evolution or the progression, then we'd be falling backwards. But we're moving forward. So, you know, accept that and support it. You know, you don't have to agree with everything, but at the same time, there is a positive change happening. And it may not be for us older guys, but it's for the youth. And essentially, breaking was started by the youth. So in order for it to stay alive is that we have an understanding, a level of respect and unity and love for what the youth are doing today. And so at the very best, let's just be leaders and ambassadors for them.